is a radio that I had wanted for a long time. Got a really good price on this particular one, if it's in as good a condition, hopefully, as I think it is. Typical eBay buy. Prices on the eBay are very volatile. This same radio sold in the beginning of February, same make and model, for probably 3 times what I paid for it, but it all depends on who's watching those auctions and who wants to buy it. People get in bidding wars and pay stupid money for things sometimes. I'm patient and I wait to get good deals or I won't buy something. This is a terrible reprint of the... I actually made a copy already of this off the internet. NC-270 National. That's just a... I will probably recycle that. I have a better copy of it. Okay, I'm probably gonna stop the video to pull this out, set it on my desk, and I'll come right back. It's National NC-270, and if you're not familiar with it, it is a ham band receiver, which is 10 to 80 meters. And only gets the ham bands, does not get broadcast or other shortwave general listening bands. It was actually used in a lot of by a lot of hams as their first receiver, or even as an upgrade receiver. It was, at the time, it was a pretty good receiver, usually used in a Nova station. I am not that old. I did not have one. These were manufactured between 1960 and 64. Don't know what the year this one is, and you'll see in a minute what makes this one kind of unique. If you can see, it is the color. It's called Cosmic Blue. I always think of it as that 1960s bluish green that they had so many cars were made out of and painted, and a lot of household appliances and different things were this color in the 60s, and that is what made it memorable to me. I have an early memory of a friend I think his father had one, and we were out camping at a little campground by our house, and I remember seeing this radio. At least I think it was this radio. I was really young, probably I'm talking like 6 or 7 years old, and he had one in his screen house attached to his trailer out at this campground, and I remember that radio, and I have always wanted to get one. This is supposedly in working condition. The guy that had it replaced the filter caps and a couple tubes that were weak. He hasn't done any other recapping or aligning on it. From what I've read up on this radio, it's not an easy radio to align, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do some future videos on that. The other nice thing about this radio, it has the flip up thing, so it'll sit slanted on the table. And apparently a lot of those are missing. Actually, the one that I saw on eBay that sold in February for 3 times what I paid for this one was missing it. It does not have an internal speaker. There is a matching speaker that was made for this radio, which someday I hope to track one down separately from it. And it gets 80, 40, 20, 15, 10, and 6 meters. Oh yeah, it has added 6 meters. I forgot about that. As well. So let's flip it around real quick. Hang on. There was a rather lengthy discussion on Antique Radio Forum thread, a couple years old the thread is now, on the age of these and on the serial numbers. There was no clear way to date them other than people looked at the date codes on tubes that were in it and other components that were actually built into the radio. These numbers they didn't think correlated to date codes, although I was wondering if this was March 64, but I don't think that it is based on what other people commented on the forum. Once I look at this a little closer, I may post and see if anybody has any clearer ideas. But it was only made for 4 years, and my feeling on the components is if you get a component that say it's dated 1962, that doesn't prove the radio was built then. Maybe it was built in 63 or 64, and they had parts at the factory that were a couple years old. That would probably not be unusual. I don't think that's a definitive way to date it, especially when this is only built for 4 years at the time. Anyhow, I'll probably hook this up in a little while. I have a G5RV antenna up in the tree in the backyard, hooked up to my Kenwood TS520, and I'll gator wire the antenna up to it and maybe fire it up on another video, and we'll see how it sounds. I think I can come up with a speaker to plug into it, since it does not have an external speaker. My Kenwood speaker actually might work on it. That is an 8-ohm speaker, I believe. So we'll check that out. Ooh, a knob fell off already. Must have been just loose. Yeah. Oh, set screw. Yeah, set screw is probably loose on it. But yeah, this is a radio I've wanted for a long time. I waited to get a good deal on one, and did, and was very happy to find it. So there you have it. I'm probably going to eventually go through it and maybe do some more capacitors changing out. I have to see what has been done to it before, and I'll probably add another video maybe of the chassis when I pull it and taking a look at that, and then firing it up on the air and see what it sounds like. So there you have it. This is Tom, and have a great day. Welcome back here to part 2 of the National NC-270. First, I want to apologize for the video quality on this. I'm using a little Sony camera which has a video taking ability, and I've noticed it focuses distance, but it does not focus close up, and there's not a thing I can do about it. It does not autofocus. I'm going to have to get a better quality video camera. Any suggestions would be welcome. Something in the $100 to $200 range, nothing too expensive. Anyhow, as you can see, I pulled the radio out of the case, pulled the case off the radio. Really, it comes off like a clamshell, top and bottom. And take a look at what I had here. As the seller on eBay reported, he was correct. He replaced the electrolytics, and the only other thing I see he did here, he added these two 150 ohm power resistors in series to make a 300 ohm, and the schematic calls for a 330 in this place, so that's probably correct. I would have probably dressed these a little different. He's just kind of got them hanging in here, especially this one. It looks like all he had on hand, and I know this isn't focusing, is some very thin wire to wire that in. It's just kind of flopping around inside the chassis. Same with this one. It's just those leads are too long. As near as I can tell, he's got it wired correctly. What he did is there's a big can resistor up here that has 340s and a 25 microfarad electrolytic in it. He cut it off on the bottom and replaced it. These are 40s. He actually has a 10 here, and it calls for a 25. I don't have a 25 to pop in here, but I will find one or order one and replace that and dress these up a little better. As far as I can tell, they're correctly wired, so I probably will take the chance and fire this up on the next video. The rest of the radio looks to be in good shape underneath. I don't see any other parts that have ever been serviced or replaced. It looks all original, other than the fact that he changed out the filter caps. So yeah, it looks good. So the next video, I'm going to have this back in the case, and I'm going to try to match up a speaker for it that I might have here, and we'll see what it sounds like. Thanks for watching. This is Tom. Thought I'd throw in a shot of the top of the chassis here, and this is sideways on my bench, and I don't want to lay it down at the moment. I mentioned the dating of this thing. This does have a bunch of original CBS tubes. It also has the original crystals, and these pop right out. I'm going to pull this one out. I've already had it out. And on the bottom of these, I believe it is a date code. It says 11-60. And the other one, there's another crystal. This is a 100 kilohertz crystal. This is a 2000 something. This has another 1960 date. Every component in here has 60 on it as a date code, and I think the 11 is the month of November, and they all date till the end of the year, around November, December. And there's one component in here that was from January of 1961, so that's the newest component that was in here. So I think, you know, I know I said that, you know, it's true that the factory could have just had parts left over from years prior, but since every component seems to date from right around the same time frame, at the end of 1960 and into the beginning of 61, I'll say that's probably when this radio was manufactured. So I just thought I'd show you the top of the chassis here. By the way, this interesting thing here is a ferrite core part that tunes up the oscillator and stuff in this radio, and it's kind of unique to this radio. It's like a ceramic ferrite core thing. Okay, so the next time you see this, hopefully we'll have it turned on and see what happens.